Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I've got Jack Bentley here with us with Porta from represented at the Jennifer West showroom. And so we've got a beautiful presentation of this upcoming collection. We are going to do a Q&A at the end. So that would be great. But if you have any quick questions about the showroom or anything, feel free to answer them or put them in the chat, and Taryn from the Jennifer West showroom is in there and will help you out. So Jack, please take it away.
All right, well, thank you so much, Gina. I appreciate that. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody from the Seattle Design Center and putting this together. It's a great opportunity for us to promote Porta Romana and get our product out in front of you so you all get a chance to see the beautiful collection that we're coming forward with this spring. Just to give you a little bit of information, Porta Romana is a 33-year-old company. It started back in 1987 by Andrew and Sarah Hills, a husband and a wife, a team that decided to take a year off from work. They moved to Italy back in their early 30s, and they said, you know what, we're just going to take a year to see what we really want to do. And they lived in Florence, actually. And when they were there, they lived on this street called Porta Romana, hence the name of the company, Porta Romana. And they lived amongst all these wonderful artisan workshops. And so during the day, they could always kind of go outside their apartment and smell all the gessos and all of the woodworking and the metal, all of that happening in and around them, so that when they made their way back to the UK, they decided that they would take that concept of being enriched by surrounding themselves with beautiful items being produced in and around the streets of Florence. And they decided that they would source out designers and artisan workshops in and around London, because that's where they were from. And they set up a company called Porta Romana. So it has really been such a treasure working with them. I've been with this company, representing them in the States for the last 15 years. And they really have come forward with such beautiful pieces. And so this spring offering, spring 2021, is really one of the most spectacular collections that we put forward. It's our creative director is Andrew Hills, and he has come forward with some beautiful designs. And we're going to start with the Etienne. So I'm going to kind of move way through here. Let me just move a little slower. The next one is, since this is new to me, I'm just trying to get my, can you show me, Gina, how to move this screen up to the next page?
Yeah, so since I'm sharing it for you, you're gonna have to let me know when to go to the next, first one. Here we go.
Let's go to the next item. It's called Etienne. This one is just like a feature page, but this first piece that we're going to show is called the Etienne Lantern. And the Etienne Lantern basically is a spectacular item. It takes much of its inspiration from the designs of Diego Giacometti. It's a very whimsical, with a touch of escapism, as you can see in the piece. This charming lantern hangs from the ceiling like a small scale illuminated sculpture. The abstract bird that you see within the piece is perched on its ledge, lit from below, which gives us this wonderful accent to the overall piece. It's been finished in this new verdigris finish on the left-hand side of the picture. And we've also done it here in this wonderful gold finish. It can be done in any painted finish, actually, but we're just highlighting in these two finishes. That's one good thing to keep in mind with Porta Romana, that we're able to actually do many finishes on many of our pieces. Think of Porta Romana almost like a bespoke artisan workshop. We produce many pieces through these artisan workshops in and around London, but we bring them in and then we finish them in-house. We have a finishing department within our facility, our design facility in Farnham, England, about an hour south of London. And this is where we're able to really add a lot of depth and character to these pieces. The next piece on the list is going to be the Allegra. So if we can move on to that one. The Allegra is basically a bulkhead piece that sits rather nicely when you have specifically low ceilings, let's say in an entry where you don't have a lot of room to put in a chandelier or a fixture that comes down into the room because you might only have 7.5, 8 feet in height. This is a perfect piece for that. I just lost the screen. Let me just shut this phone off. Can you? Oh,
You should be good. We can still see you in the presentation.
okay, apologize for that. And so the Etienne right here is basically done in a wonderful aged brass or an aged bronze. So the Allegro bulkhead itself is hand patinated with a texture surface, which epitomizes the organic feel of the spring collection. It is only available in these two finishes, and it has a diffuser that is a little bit more refined than most diffusers on ceiling fixtures of this style, in that it diffuses the light in an even distribution without seeing any of the bulbs within the actual fixture itself. On to the next item, which is the small Neptune chandelier. The small Neptune chandelier is the ever popular item that we've had in our collection. We have had it in a much larger size, and we're bringing it back in a smaller version, which is great when you have, let's say, a small breakfast nook or maybe a smaller dining table that you need a fixture for. We're featuring it here in this main image in the verdigris finish. But the small Neptune is a form of a framework of linear struts and works perfectly in smaller areas. If you like this piece, let's say, but you wanted to do it larger, that's not a problem. One good thing with Porta Romana to keep in mind, as I mentioned before, is that we can do customization of a lot of our ceiling fixtures, a lot of our furniture pieces, allowing thus the client to get the dimension of the piece that they're really looking for. We'll move on to our next item, which is the oval Compton. The oval Compton is a piece that is basically shown here in this wonderful white plastered finish. It's been adapted into an oval shape for the Spring 21 collection, and we're showing the small Compton as well. So these are basically a design that has been extremely successful from the past, and we're showing it in this wonderfully popular white plaster finish. What we're trying to do here through these collection images is to give you an idea, not only of the designs that we're launching in this collection, but also to show you the beautiful textured finishes that Porta Romana can offer you and your clients should you choose. This new extended form of the piece is still just as versatile as the other piece, the larger piece, when it's done in this plaster white finish, making it either a ceiling fixture over a small table or even over a breakfast nook, or even in an entry where you do have the height to show a piece of this style. The Chawton pendant is a fixture that actually, a lot of times when Andrew and Sarah, the owners of the company, are traveling around Europe or they're at a Paris flea market, they'll find something that is quite unusual. This piece is reminiscent of something that they saw in a chateau in Spain that gave them the kind of inspiration for this piece. It's done in a cast metal. So the Chawton pendant is an elegant and timeless ceiling fixture. It's fitted with a patinated brass uplifter, and the Chawton emits a wonderful kind of soft glow into the ceiling above. So that light source is going to sit within that piece and shine up into the fixture. It's a chunkier, heavier piece, but it is all hand patinated, and it is available just in this one size. Okay, we'll move on to our next one, which is the clamshell. We've had several different items within our collections over the years. We've had a mussel shell. This is the clamshell. We've done a scallop shell wall light, and they've been very popular. And what's nice about them is that in the plaster white, it kind of adds to the actual movement of the piece that you see. The clamshell mirror and the clamshell wall light working rather nicely in tandem. The movement of the piece itself is very reminiscent of the Botticelli painting of the hair kind of moving off in the distance. You'll see it in this wonderful plaster white finish, But if we go to the next image, let's see, will that show us yes, that'll show us the coral. And this gives you the example of how wonderful a piece like this could be in an entry or maybe even in a powder room and done in this wonderful coral color with a fantastical, let's say, paper behind it, whether it be what's shown in this or something even more almost like a banana leaf paper could add tremendous color to the background and bring in some of the other colors within the piece itself. So if you were working with, let's say, a wallpaper that you really love the colorations of, let's say there were some beautiful blues, we can do the blue on that mirror and on the shell to pull that all together for you. That customization that Porta Romana has within its pieces definitely would play rather nicely into this piece as well. The Nugget mirror is the first mirror from Viola Linari. Now, Viola Linari is a plaster designer from London. She does some wonderful pieces. We've worked with her in the past, and she's done some wonderful ceiling fixtures and some table lamps designed out of plaster. Then we reinterpret them and do them out of resin. Because if you were to make these out of plaster, they would be exorbitantly heavy, as well as they wouldn't be able to be fixed to the wall, and there'd be a lot more damage to the piece. So what we do is we take her plaster design, we reinterpret it in a resin, and then we have it painted in a plaster white finish to give you that look of a solid plaster design. So shown here is this wonderful mirror, the Nougat mirror, and the Selena console table. Very unique and very specific to her style. We're only showing it in the plaster white, but again, this can be done in any finish should you choose to. The next is the Rubin mirror, and the Rubin mirror is brand new for us, basically. It is a small scale piece in comparison to the mirrors that we've launched in the past. It is a simple brass frame that's shown on this piece with this elegant and oval shape really add to the actual overall look of the mirror. It's great for, let's say, a dressing room, a cloak room, a powder room. Rather interesting. If you were to say, what's the size of that piece? It's 32 inches in its overall height and 19 inches in its width. So that kind of gives you an idea as to where that piece sits in its overall dimension, but it's a quite beautiful floating mirror. Now on to some of our table lamps. This one has been getting the most attention as of recent. Even though this is the Spring 21 launch, we've been showing it in a few showrooms across the country. And this one by far has been getting the most positive response. It's one of the standout pieces for the Spring 21 collection. The Vespa comes in a mauve on the left, a moth in the center, mustard in the center, and then a moth on the right. We're all showing it here in this wonderful pecan shade, in a linen shade. You can do any linens that we do offer, but we're just showing it in this one currently. And you can see the collars that are shown on this lamp, all in brass, but we can do those collars in nickel. You can do them in bronze, or you can do them in brass as seen. And then again, changing up the lampshades. Where lampshades can be changed, it really can make a difference in the lamp. The lampshade is almost as most important as the base is. Here you're seeing them all the same, but as we move through the presentation, you'll see versions of different shades and how they can change the overall look of the lamp. There's a close-up shot of the actual lamp and showing that hand-blown glass that very few companies can do to this level. These pieces themselves weigh approximately 30 pounds, so they're very heavy, and they're just to be moved by the base. Now we'll look at the Dougal lamp, which is the brother to the Conrad, and this year we have the Dougal and the Dillon. The Dougal is basically the Conrad lamp that's been produced by Dillon Bowen, but we've taken that center portion out of the middle. It's characterized by smooth curves, a bold shape, and a sculptural presence. Each of the Dillon's pieces have their own artistic personality to them. We're showing three different colors here. We're showing the butterscotch on the left, the white plaster in the middle, and the fern on the right. These are great for bedside lamps, entry lamps, living room lamps. They have a beautiful size to them. The overall width of the piece is 7.5 inches and the height is 23 inches. Now, if you like the scale of the Conrad for a larger space, let's say, then you definitely would want to go with the one all the way to the left, shown here. And then the two brothers, as I mentioned earlier, you have the Dillon in the center, and then you have the Dougal on the right. The close-up shots here show you the actual detail of some of this wonderful finish on the ceramic pieces. The glazing that you see has a wonderful depth to it. And you can see there's some wonderful irregularity to it. So it adds to the charm of the piece. This is what's quite nice about these individual items, is that the ceramic finishes and glazes on the Dougals, as you see on the left and the right with the fern and the butterscotch, are really quite detailed, and there's a lot of depth to them. The next item is going to be the Huxley. The Huxley follows up to a sister lamp that we had last season. And what we're doing here is we're using leather. And this is leather in two different colors. On the left is the chocolate leather, and on the right is the tan leather. We're showing this in a brass or an antique brass base. You can see in the thumbnails at the bottom slightly. And the hand-stitched detail to the actual center rod of the lamp gives it that wonderful character to the lamp itself. We're showing it with a hand-painted shade, again, tying it into the actual coloration of the base. The Huxley is basically new to this Spring 21 collection, and it follows on the successes of the Holden collection, which is a series of lamps, exact similar size, that's done with a wrapped cane. So we're using materials such as cane and leather. Even we have a fixture that's made out of water hyacinth. So a lot more of materials that are more from nature, not so much things that are plastics and other items that could be possibly used on past collections. The sustainability factor is always at the forefront of Porta Romana in bringing forward new items. The Monty, this was launched about 1.5 years ago in the States as a wall sconce. And what we've done here is we've taken the design and reinterpreted it into a table lamp. So you can see when you look at the image on front versus when you see it on the side, it has a completely different look. It's a little quirky from its overall design from when you see it on the right side, but straight on, it looks rather kind of, straight and clean. This is a great desk lamp or an occasional lamp, or if you have, let's say, a small dresser or a single bed, a wonderful lamp to put by an upholstered headboard. Comes with a wonderful small shade, and it's shown here in one of our gold finishes, but it's also available in bronzed, silver finishes, and as you can see in some of the thumbnails below, ideas for how you can take this piece. So again, keeping that in mind with Porta Romana, that should you have certain metals or colorations in the room that you want to accent with your lighting, you can bring in bronze, you can bring in silver, you can bring in gold, and all of our finishes, we have a tremendous amount of offering for them, and they usually will work rather nicely with what you're bringing to the table for your own color palette, let's say. Now on a couple more of our ceramics. We're moving into the large husk on the right. You're seeing it shown in this wonderful tortoiseshell finish. It's quite wonderful. It's deep, it's rich. There's a saturation to that glaze. It's a rather large lamp. It sits at approximately 30 inches in height, and it's 16 inches in its width. It's shown with the bronzed lamp holders throughout. But again, we can do brass, we can do nickel, we can do bronzed. So keeping that in mind as well, when you're looking at the lamp holders where your bulb will go, those can also be adapted should you choose to want to make that even more customized for the piece. The center lamp is the Buble lamp. This lamp has been in the Porta Romana collection for many years, and it sits in this new finish, shown here in this wonderful caramel colored finish with the pecan linen shade. On the bottom, you can see the 3 colors that we're offering this lamp in. The middle is the reactive green, and then the eucalyptus on the right, and then you have the caramel color shown on the far left, which is really quite wonderful in this speckled feeling. Each one of these finishes, just so you know, with Porta Romana and with ceramics, they vary. The look of these lamps is inherent to the piece. Each lamp is going to come across as a bespoke piece. It's not something that you're going to see one and then you're going to see one that's identical to it. There's going to be a lot of diversion and uniqueness to the overall finish of the piece. On to one more of our glass items, the Auden lamp. This is a hand-blown glass piece. It's a small attention-grabbing item, and it's very cute. The Auden lamp itself is formed of hand-blown glass and a patented brass collar that is produced locally. So each Auden lamp that you see in our collection has its own character. You're going to have some more dots that you see within the piece and some less. It's formed by an artistry of glass blowing technique only available in the UK. It's available in mauve or moth, and the Auden's dotted surface is both playful and decorative, resembling the paintings of Yoshi Kasama. As you can see, the 2 colors are shown below. Now onto the Conrad. We started off with an image of that in the beginning portion of our presentation, but it's shown here in the butterscotch and also in the fern. The Conrad was one of Dylan Bowen's first pieces designed for Porta Romana. Its original monochromatic plaster white and black finishes were the original colorations of the pieces that we offered these in, and now have been joined by the new butterscotch and fern colorways. So these new glazes give the Conrad an identity in a way that they crackle and fall into the grooves of the piece. So it captures this wonderful organic feel of the Spring 21 collection. These lamps stand approximately 35 inches in height. When I give these dimensions, that's to the height of the top of the shade. The rig bait is one of our more transitional pieces, or almost too traditional. We have a few in our collection. Most of our pieces are transitional, but the traditional pieces that you see here make it nice to be able to use on projects where you have the need for a lamp of this style. We've done these also too in the new finishes of the butterscotch and fern. As you can see, we offer them in 7 different colorways as shown in the thumbnails below. The lamp stands approximately 31 inches in height. The Rigby is a timeless piece. It's a timeless designed lamp. You can actually have the base of the lamp, if you wanted to change that up a bit, we can do either a perspex base to maybe make it a little bit more contemporary. We can do it in the gold as shown. We can do it in silver, or we can do it in a bronze, depending on what you're wanting to do in terms of your overall design scheme. It's a beautiful lamp, and it's timeless. One more for the collection that seems to fall within that same ilk is the Sybil lamp, available in 7 other colorways as shown. And we're doing it in these 2 new colors, which is the fern, the butterscotch on the left, fern on the right. We're showing a lot of these lamps in these natural linen shades, keeping in mind that we have approximately 45 to 50 different types of fabrics that can be used for lampshades. We also offer the ability for you as a designer or your clients who want to use their own material, which means, let's say, for instance, you're doing a project and you have or want to tie in a fabric that is being used on the draperies. It's not a problem for us. We do it all the time. We can match that, and we can run that fabric for the shades themselves. This is a lamp, again, that the bases can be changed on. And the Sybil itself is just a standard, beautiful lamp that falls within that transitional to traditional look. The Baobab, shown in this wonderful magma finish, has a little bit of speckling, as you can look up and you can see that rather closely there. This red finish is the depth, I think, one of the deepest depths within the ceramic range that we have. You can see many different colorations that we offer this piece. It's this vibrant and fiery red magma is basically perfectly situated with this crisp shade shown in the linen of a natural fabric. This is a piece that sits rather nicely in a casual living area, a den, can be used in the bedroom, what have you. Now, onto the thread lamp. The thread lamp is our most successful selling glass lamp. It's a large lamp, but what we've done here on this thread lamp is we've added the threading in the same coloration as the actual base of the lamp. In prior collections, what we've done is we've taken a clear threading and loop that onto the base of the glass itself. And you can see in the other colors, it's not as evident, but in the threading in all of the other lamps that we have offered in this series, the threading is clear. This is the only one that we're offering it in this wonderful deep blue. It's called the tuxedo blue. And this thread is an aquatic feel and reminds us of the Bristol blue grasses of England. The artistry of the glass blowing process forms a delicate threading that wraps around to give this thread an intricate and one-of-a-kind texture. So this tuxedo thread is unique within the product family, as both the body of the piece and the intricate threading are produced in blue glass, ensuring a rich and intense color. So it's available in the colors that you see below, and the charcoal and the olive, as you see, are probably the most requested and purchased colorways of that piece. On to the next. The Nola lamp is a simple and abstract piece. It's evocative of Roman architecture. So you would work well with this as a desk lamp or a bedside lamp. The Nola is formed from natural materials and brought to life in this new verdigris finish on the left. But I think it's quite spectacular in that gold finish. I think it comes to life in both, but you see how just by changing the finish, how the lamp can really take on a different character. On the left, we're showing it in this wonderful bongo carbon linen. And then on the right is the natural linen. A little bit lighter on the right in terms of its overall appearance, a little bit less formal on the left. The next item is going to be the Giacometti leaf lamp. We can go past that one, Gina, right there. Yeah. We're showing this as a series of groupings of product. We're showing this finish and we're bringing it forward this year. The verdigris finish is a tremendous finish that Porta Romana has brought to the table. It's being used on the Giacometti leaf lamp on the right here. It's a classic Porta Romana design conceived for a collection in the 1990s. When I just came on board with Porta Romana, this lamp was one of the popular items in the collections, and it was shown in plaster white and bronze. And now we've brought it forth in this wonderful verdigris finish, which has now been painted across the whole lamp, giving this sculptural form the character of an original Giacometti piece. Next item is the man and woman lamp. These two are probably some of the best-selling items within the collection. We're bringing forward new finishing on these two items, showing it in the verdigris finish, and then of course, accenting it in a carbon linen or a natural linen. We also make this available in the bronzed finish. Those are the only two finishes that we sell these two pieces in. We also have the man to floor lamp, which is part of this family that has the similar design as the item on the left, but of course, as a floor lamp itself. Now the Agnes originally was an accessory in the collection, came forward in a plaster white finish. So it was created as a standalone sculpture before it was added to become a lamp base. With a form evocative of the work of a Spanish sculptor, Eduardo Chillida, this new bronze finish creates an intriguing and patinated finish that highlights the smooth curves of the piece. So it truly is like a piece of art, like sculpture in the room. As you see with a lot of Porta Romana pieces, the sculptures that we bring forward in accessories sometimes end up into actually the lighting fixtures, the lamps, the wall sconces, what have you. It's a beautiful piece to picture in an entry and a small table in front of a contemporary piece of art. Now the Huxley, this is the follow-up to the table lamp that we had earlier. It's showing the detail of the hand-stitched leather column shown in the chocolate, and then the detail at the bottom showing the actual bronzed antique brass or antique brass or just brass bases with a hand-painted shade. The Huxley comes in chocolate leather with brass or antique brass base as stated, and we also offer it in a tan leather as well. Now, Porta Romana always has a little bit of fun with their designs, and this one, of course, is one that does exactly just that. This is the toucan wall sconce. Often, Porta Romana over the years has launched many different animals into their collection. We have the duck table lamp, we have the cow wall sconce, we have the llama wall light. We used to have a balloon dog table lamp. So we have done over the years. They're wonderful because they create a little of laughter, whimsicality to the collection. And we're showing the toucan here in these two different finishes, the French brass on the left and the bright gold finish on the right. This is an eccentric, charismatic, and eclectic piece. It's capturing all the elements of escapism and permeates the spring collection in its playful toucan design, introduced in a fantastical feel. So it's one of my favorites. Great for, let's say, goes back to my original comment at the beginning of the presentation about having a wonderful kind of powder room with some wonderful floral wallpaper, and then having these sconces on either side of a mirror to kind of play off that, to play into kind of like that wonderful feel itself, to become part of the wallpaper design, let's say. The next item is the clamshell. You're getting a chance to see it up close. We saw it earlier with the clamshell mirror. This gives you an idea of the wonderful design that is part of the fixture. The wildness of the clamshell has been taken from the natural world and in stylized form, an extravagant and expressive wall sconce. With the grooves that you see there are evocative of the Botticelli hair. The clamshell wall light provides a fun and lively lighting solution. So very decorative, but also very dramatic, whether it be either side of a headboard, going up a staircase, down a corridor. Any of those options could be quite dramatic. Now, the large Ophelia is one of the more unusual pieces and larger pieces of the collection. In its overall height, it is 44 inches. So you're looking at a very large wall sconce. This is if you have the room for a piece of this style, whether it be on either side of a fireplace or either side of a grand entry, it could be quite wonderful to use an item of this style. They say in the actual description that the large Ophelia wall light emerges from the wall as a sculptural piece of art, with its ethereal flutes twisting in the forms of a botanical shape. The larger scale of this new piece, a distinct gravitas, and it deserves to be used to create a bold statement. Each large Ophelia is individually made with its white sculptural surfaces, enhancing the soft glow of light. So if you see the actual piece on the left, you can see the light coming through and how it would just glow those individual cups. It's quite dramatic, and there's a lot of movement to the overall piece. The next item is the Huxley. Now, we talked about the Huxley the Huxley table and the Huxley floor. This is a series of products, all that are hand wrapped and stitched in leather. This is the wall sconce shown in the chocolate on the left and the tan on the right. And we're doing it whether it be in an antique brass backplate or a plain brass backplate. Those are available. So it is one of our more popular items because it's something that you could use in all guest rooms, powder rooms. It just has a multiple area of uses. It is overall 7.5 inches in its height and 2.25 inches in its width of the piece. Next one is the Huxley flexible fixture. This piece is one that we're getting a lot of requests for. Go to the next one if we could, Gina. There we go. Now this one is one that can be moved. We get a lot of requests for bedside lamps and wall sconces that can actually be moved and positioned. So they're not only decorative, but they're utilitarian. So here we have the Huxley Flexible shown in the antique brass, but also available in the brass itself, in the chocolate and the leather, very functional, can be used next to an upholstered headboard, and quite effective. We have one other fixture that works rather nicely. It's similar to that. Now, we always like to have a couple traditional pieces in our collection because there is a movement within design in some areas for more traditional selected pieces. The Beatrice wall sconce, shown here in the verdigris finish, which is perfect for this item, fits rather nicely, I think. And we're showing it with these wonderful pop of green silk shades. Just to show you how by changing up the shades on the piece can make a dramatic effect on the overall look of the actual wall sconce. Now that's our last item. Gives you an idea of what Porta Romana has been up to. We'll be launching collections not only in the spring, but also in the fall. And if there's any questions about any of the items that you saw or just questions about Porta Romana as a whole, please don't hesitate to send them over in the chat and I can answer them for you should you have any questions.
Yeah, and we still have a few more minutes. So if anybody wants to pop into the Q&A or the chat to ask anything specific, feel free. And Jack, what would be the best way for people to get a hold of the Jennifer West showroom or to come in? Or if they want more details on what you showed us today?
Yes, absolutely. You know, Jennifer West, their website is jwshowroom.com. You can also email jwest@jwshowroom.com. If you want to contact me directly and you need an answer on something, if you're working and you want to have something quick, I'll always take an email sent off to Jack Bentley at Porta Romana. That's PortaRomana.com. If you need any insight or have any questions that you need answered, technical questions, inspirational questions, any of those things I can help you out with.
Yeah, and Eileen O'Neill wants to know what ceiling fixture is behind you.
Well, it's a fixture that is not a Porta Romana piece. Everything else in my house, you see some of the lighting behind. That's a piece that was purchased in New York, actually, when I lived in New York, and I brought it down here with me. I live in Miami right now, but yeah,
I think that's
it's a nice looking piece. Yeah.
Well, it's a perfect testament too of how well Porta Romana goes with other lighting.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can mix, contemporary with traditional if it's done in a way that kind of brings forward if it's evocative of the piece itself. So absolutely.
Yeah, and one last piece, I was in the Jennifer West showroom earlier a few weeks ago, and they have glass samples there, these beautiful boxes with all the different colors that you do and little hardware that goes with it. So if you would like to see those colors in person, make sure you come in or make an appointment with the showroom because they're very fun and inspiring to look at.
And I do want to mention that the website itself, the Porta Romana website, is a wonderful tool to use. Not only can you access and see all the new collection, you can print off tear sheets for yourselves. You can get technical specs from it. You're able to look at several different movies that we've made over the years, highlighting products from previous collections. We also have a couple movies on there that are great to watch. You get the chance to meet Andrew and Sarah in those movies by hearing their story about how they started the company. You're able to also, if you're interested, go into the London showroom. We have availability on the website to go a virtual tour of the London showroom. You can click onto the website. You'll see an area within it. You click on virtual tour, and that gives you the opportunity to see the entire London showroom and everything in the entire collection. So it's rather exciting. And Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate all.
Of course, and I just shared both those links in the chat if anyone was curious. And let's see here. Someone would like to know, what is the price point range of the line, please? So the line that we just looked at, do you have a range?
Right. So if you look at the ceramics themselves are falling, are basically, if you were to look at, the bases themselves, most of the ceramic bases are in that 1,100 to 1,500 for the bases. The shades themselves price out between 300 to 400. The glass lamps are going to be on the higher side. Your leather lamps, your Huxley lamps, your table lamps are pricing out in that 800 to 900 range. These are all trade prices. And then you can access more price points in details through visiting your showroom and just requesting an overall price point for the lamp. Because the lamps themselves are pretty much, when you change the finish, nothing changes in price. But when you sometimes change a shade, and if you do a pleated shade or a gathered shade or a COM shade, those are considered more elevated priced shades than your standard linen with a cream card lining, let's say. When you bring that shade up to make it more custom, then a price would be added to it.
And they're truly, each piece is a work of art. They're absolutely amazing. So thank you, Jack, and thank you, Jennifer West Showroom, and everybody watching us today.
Thank you all for making the time to take part in this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope you have a great sunny day there in Florida.
Yes, it's heating up. So thanks to everybody. Have a great day, guys, and all the best to you.
You too.
Bye-bye.